teams representing some of the biggest cities around the world. 72 of the world's most talented poker players with over $350 million in combined lifetime earnings will put everything on the line over 8 months to compete for the title of the first ever GPL World Champions. Which team has what it takes? The Global Poker League starts now.
Hello and welcome back to the Global Poker League. This Tuesday evening we are live. We are into week 7 already. I am Laura Cornelius. We've seen some fantastic action from the Eurasian Six Max already this evening. Paris's Alex Luneau picking up 7 points for their side, and also Chris Moorman for the London Royals picking 7 points up for their side. We've seen now one match from the Americas Conference and we have one more to go. We saw Scott Ball for the Las Vegas Moneymakers taking down that very first match from the Americas Conference, him taking 7 points for Chris Moneymaker's side, and in fact they needed those points. They were starting to dwindle, not at the bottom of the table, that's San Francisco Rush, but they were in 5th place and they are looking to climb that table desperately. But this is a new match and there are more points up for grabs. As we said, 7 points for first place up for grabs in this one. And we have pretty much the same lineup that we've just seen, except for Scott Ball there, who just won that one. Jake Cody will be stepping in for him. There it is. So Tyler Kenny is going to be back. Fedor Holz also managing to ladder up there and take some points. For Maria Ho's side, Phil Galfond will be looking to improve upon his 1 point in from that first match. Jake Cody, as we said, stepping in then for Scott Ball. He's got the pressure of trying to win this one just as his teammate did the first one. Mike McDonald came runner-up in that first match, taking 5 points for the Montreal Nationals. He'll be looking to score some more. He won the very first Six Max match that we had in week 1. And Felipe Mojave Ramos out first in that very first Six Max match this evening. It's normally the Tyler Kenny Felipe Ramos show, but it wasn't today, sadly, as both of them out a little bit early on, as was not what's happened in the past. Right, I going to the boys, back to Griffin and to Sam, and take a look at this lineup.
It's okay, Cornball.
Yeah,
Little
it's
TK
great.
on the brain.
It's
I
great.
know. Tyler Kenny still
great
in the
to
match.
see
She's
Laura
like, there was
Cornelius.
a substitution. Oh, no, I hope it
Occasionally-
wasn't Tyler Kenny. It was Scott Ball.
She's human after all. She does stumble over
Can
her
you
words.
believe it?
Unbelievable.
Can you believe
Laura
it? She is
Cornelius,
flustered. Do you
the
hear her giggling?
GPL robot.
He has a girlfriend, and you know it.
So,
Yes.
Griff.
Graph. We have Jake Cody stats
We got
whenever
some-
you want them.
Yeah, let's see. Let's
Just jump right in. Oh, I'll go. Jake Cody. He's a British guy, but he's playing for the money makers, the points makers today. 7 on the board from Scotty Ball. The best GPI rank of 11, a Triple Crown winner. That means he's won a World Poker Tour event, a World Series of Poker event, and a European Poker Tour event. 51 results, 5 wins. Been playing for a while. What do you know about Jake? You know this guy?
Yeah, top boy, Jake Cody. I know that he was away for Matt Perrin's, Rochdale's number 2's wedding over the weekend. I'm sure he'll have had a great time with the boys.
That's why he needed the later start.
Yeah, now looking
lot
to
of rest.
make an impact on the GPL. Up to this point, we definitely haven't seen the best of Jake Cody, but he's someone that's really, really experienced, as a tournament player. Someone that's been doing it
I feel
for
like we're
a
really
number
low.
of years. Was the youngest ever Triple Crown winner and has been a regular on the high-stakes tournament scene ever since. Finaled EBT Monte Carlo, finaled EBT London, has made subsequent WSOP finals since he took down the 25K heads-up bracelet, a very, very prestigious bracelet indeed. But a rare occasion where, taking out Scott Ball, he's got to impress, because Scott Ball has been delivering points for the Moneymakers. 7 points, as you said, much needed by that franchise.
Yes,
Jake Cody,
setting the tone.
Yeah, Jake Cody
for the
has got to
Moneymakers.
deliver. Also, was great to have him on webcam before. Hope we get to see a little bit of Jake again. Someone that, as his role as a PokerStars ambassador, really grown into over the years. Represented another company before that as well. As someone that is used to dealing with fans. Someone that's this setup at GPL is really made for someone with his charisma and with his enthusiasm for the game.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of interesting choices by Chris Moneymaker himself, and clearly went after too many moneymakers and not points makers. $38,000 in cashes. That's all Scott Ball has. He's from Twitch, and he's playing great poker, and he's winning points. He's winning matches. So some points makers in the money makers, not just money makers. I mean, think about the team. Got Jonathan Little. You know how much money that guy's made? He's in the six. He's in the seven figures.
Sure. Let's talk about. We got a tweet here from the real Alex HBK. It says, "Very good run for Mike McDonald, 89. There's no doubt for me that Timex is one of the most talented players among GPL players. Hashtag GPL." And I've got to agree with Alex there. Mike McDonald, top performer.
Yes.
In the Six Max format. I think really someone that understands. You know, a lot of the times we're like, okay, this is a call in terms of chips. How does the points payout affect your decision-making process in the spot? It's something that you and me have some background in, but I think someone that really has mastered the kind of mathematical decision-making process that you need to go through before you make calls or folds is Mike McDonald, and real strong player there. Had to make a tough call with the ace-queen, decided it was correct, won the flip against Fedor, and ended up, finishing second. So actually, we're just getting.
Oh, we just got some.
We're breaking
news.
Breaking bad.
Stop the presses.
Hold everything, guys. Scott Ball.
Everyone freeze.
Jake Cody is out. Scott Ball is in. Last minute substitution.
They decided to keep Scott Ball in. The wrecking ball, Scotty himself.
By the way,
beam me up.
So you think Moneymaker just pulled Cody?
Yeah, yeah. Can you imagine?
I mean, that's absolutely brutal.
Hey, listen.
Chris,
take us off camera for a second. You need to call Jake. He's a personal friend.
Come on.
He's going to need someone
Jake
to talk
Cody's
to about
this. Got bumped.
He's a father of one. Like, he can't handle this kind of, getting replaced by Scotty Ball.
That's pretty strong. I think it's a nice touch when someone does do so well. Yeah. But, I think there's no doubt that Jake Cody is the superior poker player.
He shouldn't be hearing what we're talking about right now. I mean, I did make that the whole kick about money
anyway,
and points.
Let's continue. Another player that will be looking to make an impact here, someone that has slightly underperformed, certainly in terms of point, is Phil Galfond. Another, great hero of mine.
Yes.
Phil Galfond, has played the high stakes cash games on the net for many years.
On the net?
Someone that has an unblemished reputation in gambling over 10 years. Someone that writes with incredibly, sophisticated way about the game. Someone that, was a big star attraction, first round draft pick for the San Francisco Rush. He needs to perform as well. So going to be really interesting in the second match. Lots to prove for Phil Galfond. And, big moment for Scott Ball with his manager backing him ahead of the great Jake Cody as well. Would be great to see Scott Ball, pay back that faith that Chris Moneymaker has had in him, not just to sign him as the wild card, but to drop Jake Cody. So let's go to the action where things are going to kick off. All-star lineup, Fedor Holz, Mike McDonald, and now Scott Ball. Felipe.
Vamos, Ramos.
Here he is. And Mike McDonald on the sofa.
Boys.
Is he on the sofa, Mikey?
Pleasure playing against
I think he is.
These big boys. Good night, GPL. Hello, guys.
Hello, Felipe
Hello,
Ramos.
thanks, everyone in the chat.
Everyone's favorite, Felipe Mojave, representing Brazil. This is Brazil. Mike McDonald, representing that couch. Interesting hand early on. The three kings for Mr. McDonald. Scotty Ball always seems to have a spade flush draw. And unfortunately for him, this time No dice. Actually, fortunately for him, no dice, because if he'd rivered a flush, maybe talking about a different conversation.
Mike, considering whether to lead out on this river.
Is he ever going to bluff raise? Probably not. I'm probably just bet fair, like mid-sized bet. And just hope he calls the jacks or something. What? Oh, what the fuck?
Mike
Okay.
McDonald clearly meaning to bet there.
This is weird. I'm pretty sure I just clicked bet 1400. How the fuck did that go wrong? I definitely did not intend to check there. That sucks. I mean, honestly, I think he probably would have folded anyway, so I doubt it really matters against his specific hand. But yeah, I never have a hand between between ace high and tens or something. But I think it's likely he would have folded ace high and called tens. So in a results based kind of way, I don't think it's a huge deal. What the fuck? It's weird playing on a new software. Like when I make a misclick on stars, I just know I clicked the wrong button. But I'm pretty sure here I clicked the right button, but I can't be certain. That's so weird. I'll stop complaining. Let's check fold this. This is not how I play
Pot
against a lot
here.
of people, but I think Felipe has folded some like
We're
marginal
going
strength
crazy
hands and
over
small pots more
second
than a
pair.
lot of people.
Obviously,
So
pretty good hand.
I'm being one and done unless I improve on the turn. Oh wow, I'm okay. Now I realize what I did wrong.
See if I can get so much value in this after this 10 of hearts on the river. Maybe I get called by a worse king.
Interesting.
bit,
Not a lot of worse kings
or
than
10
King
now.
7. Obviously, he thinks he has the best hand, so there's the justifications coming from that side of it, but way too thin here. Mike McDonald way too good to pay him off with a 10 there.
I mean,
turning
he's got
6 into a
10.
bluff.
He's got 10 nut kicker, so you
Yeah.
can see that actually the exact hand Felipe is targeting with that bet folds. So he's just going to end up value turning himself or opening up the possibility of getting check raised.
But you know what? It is something that from Felipe that I do love to see is that he has very, very good, forgive me for saying, feel player instincts in the sense that he felt like he had the best hand, and when he feels that, he bets, and that's what makes him a successful tournament player.
A little bit when it's not necessary to waste time.
Phil Galfond opening up his ranges a little bit on Tyler Kenny's big blind with the ace deuce off, recognizing this is a board where c-bet isn't going to be effective with no diamond in his hand. And Tyler Kenny with a very strong holding and no showdown value should be seizing the initiative.
950.
I'm just gonna fold this. I'm gonna go get a mouse.
I'd love to see a little bit of the old Mike McDonald residence. I bet it's absolutely balling. The Waterloo Flat.
Yeah, I bet it is.
And Fedor Holtz with the bullets. And Tyler Kenny is going to peel out of the small blind. And this is a dangerous board for Tyler Kenny because against a lot of Fedor's hands, he is going to be best right now. But on this occasion, we can see he has just 10% equity. And that card not going to help Tyler get away from his hands.
No.
Fedor Holtz, absolutely loving life. Tyler Kenny really with no 4x that he peels pre-flop. The only hand would be ace four of hearts, and Fedor Holz blocks that. So he is just, I mean, just loving life at the moment. And Far's big on the turn. And dicey spot for Tyler Kenny. I really don't know what he should do in this spot. Obviously, against Fedor's actual hand, he should fold. I wonder what we'd be saying if Fedor did have a hand like ace-jack of diamonds.
That's a really good point.
Really an enviable spot. I think what's going through Tyler's mind is the fact that he is so capped in this spot. Fedor has the aces, kings, queens. Tyler's strongest hand is tens, maybe jacks. And Fedor now in a great spot, just has to select the bet sizing he thinks most appropriate for his range, or perhaps specifically for his actual hand. And we could see
I wonder if Fedor is going to go all in here.
a big sizing. Love Mike to give us some
So tough
insight.
for Tyler to have, better than jacks or something.
Mike McDonald just copying what I say. Obviously a big fan of mine and my Run It Once videos. And Fedor Holz all
Fedor
in
going
for an
value.
overbet.
For big pair against Tyler Kenny me pair, they probably fight this small blind.
And I think having a diamond is definitely a bad start
Could be a good bluff if you
When-
think Tyler Kenny is
constructing
fold
your
something
calling
like
range here.
Whereas
sevens or eights.
betting the turn, you don't want to block diamonds. Betting the river, you don't want to block or you want to block his highest pair. If you think he's 3-betting queens pre-flop and calling jacks, have your bluffs be stuff like king jack, queen jack, stuff like that. Because a lot of people talk themselves into, I'm top of the range, I'll call with this one, and they won't call the weaker ones.
Mike McDonald
Mm.
dropping
Then
some
it just cuts
knowledge.
down on the size of their calling range.
Yeah, really,
If he
really
had no
interesting.
sets. So
Tyler Kenny in the hurt locker. And I think the reason this is so tough is because when Tyler calls the turn, he almost expects this on the river versus Fedor. And you feel like if you're calling turn, nothing has changed. This is like the best river card you could hope for. He does
Oh,
wow.
call.
yeah, I guess I was right. Big pair against me pair.
Tyler Kenny probably reviewing
Strong start for Fedor.
the match previously, thinking that,
Here's a spot where
he didn't
everyone's
wanna
got to play
get
a little
pushed
more
around at
snug
all.
when,
Obviously,
both
he
of
was,
them raised this
I can't help but flash back to the hand when he was 3-bet by Scott Ball when Scott had King 7, and the way that can affect you in a similar situation where, maybe his brother was just like, just go for it this time. And then here you go. Goes for it. Amazing, the human brain.
Yeah, and also one thing that's really interesting to think about is how thin can Fedor Holz go for value there. Like, if-
Tyler is so short,
know-
and whenever he busts, everyone gets a point.
He probably can treble all in there with queens, maybe even jacks, yeah?
I think Jack's through.
Yeah, because Tyler's sort of capped at
No,
jacks.
he's capped at Jacks. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
you know,
You're
it's
kind
not,
of free rolling when he does have Jacks.
yeah, it's not like Fedor doesn't have,
Yeah.
a reasonably wide value range there.
Agreed.
I really, it's such an unenviable spot when you're up against someone like Fedor Holz. There's so many professionals even that
Not
can't
crazy
pull
about
the
the
trigger
flop.
down 3 streets there. But Fedor, who's so aware of
He's
ranges
there.
and the way that ranges interact, can fire.
I
And now
don't
an
have-
interesting spot. Fedor Holz with the ace king high. Checks over to Felipe.
But yeah, he could be check folding some ace queens, king queens over here. So I rather bet instead of let him lead the turn. It's a terrible turn card.
And Felipe bets the flop. One of the problems with betting the flop is you do just strengthen your opponent's range. Pocket 3 is so hard to improve on this board. Obviously, as we can see, the chips did go in good against Fedor's actual hand.
Deal is like, I don't understand here why Fedor would check. Most likely with a pair. It's a good river. It's a good river.
And Fedor now,
most of the time,
with a decision as to whether to turn the ace-king into a bluff or whether to check and hope to beat a hand like ace-jack, king-queen that stabbed the flop. Fedor does check.
Take these 3 to the showdown.
And Felipe Ramos will win at showdown.
Nice hand, nice hand. Vamos São Paulo.
For the latest info about the GPL, visit Global Poker League. There is a survey there we'd love you to fill out. And Fedor in a very advantageous situation with Tyler Kenny down to 3 big blinds. Phil Galfond forced to back down to the young German's aggression.
And Tyler Kenny picking up 2 6s here. Under the gun +1.
Griffin Benja, he's back and he's excited. And Phil Galfond with ace-3 folds, and Mike McDonald in a very unenviable spot, facing a 3 big blind jam.
I think I need like 31% to call or something. Probably pretty close to that.
We can see he does
I
have.
don't actually know. I'm guessing this is. I'm guessing this is one of those things where calling or folding makes half an ante or something. I don't know. I'm just gonna call. Try to knock someone out.
Kitchies.
With the kitchens, 10-3 off.
With the sink.
And a heart would be interesting. There we go. Our producers oblige with a productive turn card. Heart or 10. And Tyler Kenny fights on.
That's okay. I got one more for you.
The infamous double river card of week 1. Mike McDonald tuning into our commentary. Such a pro, trying to get any little scrap of high-level analysis he can to improve his own game. Such a perfectionist.
McDonald's been liking my Instagram post lately.
No.
Loving it.
McDonald follows you on Instagram and actually
And
likes.
Mr. Golf will take this one.
Wow.
One of my favorite players.
Well, listen to that. Felipe Ramos letting Phil Galfond
tip.
take one,
A
folding the
tip.
deuce 4 off in the big.
A tip of the
Very
swaggy
good that
baseball
in
cap.
this match, I have position over these 2 guys. Gives me a little more chance.
And Fedor Holtz continues to run good.
Why is it that I imagine Tyler Kenny actually coming back and just like laddering to third
Yeah.
or fourth in this?
Yes.
Like he's just so hard to. He's just like a little like rat. Like oh come on, just get off me.
Yeah, I agree.
He just refuses to bust. I mean, look at this. Did I just write this script? Honestly.
And Mike McDonald with a very playable 10-9 suited. In fact, it's Galfond that opens.
Hashtag ICM pressure, bro. Because Tyler's so short.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty negligible at this stack depth. And Mike McDonald flats in position. And Tyler Kenny with an opportunity to treble.
Oh, this is a great spot for Tyler.
Oh, Felipe, he's rooting
Trying to
for his
make
boy.
his way back, already double up.
TK,
Lot of dead
TK,
money.
TK.
And I wonder if Galfond folds here or whether he has
ISOs?
such a range advantage over Mike McDonald in the spot, but he's actually bang under it against Tyler's range. So really interesting spot. Could just call, of course, but he does fold. probably the bottom of his opening range. And Mike McDonald.
On kings.
But McDonald holding the King's crackers, the 10-9 suited. Ba-boom.
And that's a great card for Tyler. Now only a 10 will do it. 2 outs. Mike McDonald continues to double up Tyler Kenny.
Kenny getting back in the game from 1,000 chips to over 5,000. Doubling with the Butchers. Hashtag Diablo1.
I mean, I think also Mike has a stronger range than normal because Tyler was so short. So I think that's what is going through Phil's mind and why he folds there. He actually did the 4 pair. He would have knocked Tyler out, yeah?
With what? Oh, yes, it did.
So
he had 4-5
wow.
in the club.
In the club.
Bottle full of bub. Mama, I got you double E.
And Tyler Kenny whipping out the old raised fold with the Jack 10 suited.
I can't believe it.
And this is pretty exciting because Tyler Kenny has all the strong hands on this board, and he actually flops a strong draw. A 9 or a king would give Tyler a straight. And Fedor, with one of the few aces he flats pre-flop, or, one of not a huge amount of aces, I should say, that he flats pre-flop. Really going to be interested to see how this hand plays out. I mean, could Tyler Kenny double up again here? It would be one hell of a comeback. And Fedor cannot be loving life. Tyler Kenny, such a solid game. Raising off 10 big blinds. And Tyler Kenny improves to a flush draw now. 3K behind. And Fedor Holtz, I didn't even notice it. Improves to 2 pair. What an action turn card. Our producer's really on form here in terms of creating action. And
special thanks to Joe Chong in the booth,
and they're all in. And Tyler Kenny
the
needs
studio.
a flush card or a straight card. He doesn't get it. Tyler Kenny eventually out. And TK will be frustrated. Not used to going out for the donut. And our 2 heroes, Felipe Ramos and Tyler Kenny, out for the donuts today. Pretty, not something we've come to expect.
Not at all.
And Scott Ball will register at least 1 more point to add to the 7 he acquired earlier. If you're just joining us, we've already seen 2 matches in the Eurasia Conference, as we love to call it. The first one won by Alexandre Leno, beating Dong Guo heads up. Second one won by Chris Moorman of the London Royals, again beating Dong Guo heads up. And our first match in the Americas Conference today, Scott Ball, the Twitch maestro, the wildcard pick of the Las Vegas Moneymakers, winning 7 points, beating Mike McDonald heads up, who got 5 for the Montreal Nationals. And Montreal Nationals, in fact, will finish above the New York Rounders today. Could be all change if Fedor Holtz puts on a good performance as well. New York Rounders really struggled today, and going to be exciting to see where we end up in the standings. Got that to look forward to later.
The ladies love Fedor.
Laura Cornelius.
That was a really good segue there.
And Fedor picking up another big pair.
Ken Michael McDonald with the beautiful Johnny Neuf suited. Resist Temptation. The Siren. Oh, love the flat. Been flattening these puppies a lot lately. I actually even prefer flattening lower ones with the small line these days in empty tournaments. I know it.
The
hate that
last
idea.
2 matches.
But you're so
Starting
capped
to make things
the
fun.
broadways.
And
Pretty good turn card as well.
Turns a flush. And what a river card.
Wow.
It's interesting. A lot of my bluffs would have had a queen in them. King, queen, I keep value betting. Something like king, jack. Guess I'll still want to value bet.
Mike, considering how many bluff combos he arrives at the river with, in relation to how many value bets he has,
Sure.
considering whether he would value bet a hand like king jack on this river, king 10, whether he would check them.
I'm just gonna bet there's enough, ace jacks with a club, hands like that. And I don't have that many. I don't have that crazy of a number of club combos. Something like 10-8 of clubs or something. I'd just be folding pre or 3-betting. There's not that many hands I can have, and he could, after the 8-6 diamonds, he could think I'm just, randomly over bluffing the spot.
And Fedor Holtz with queens full of deuces.
This is a spot where I think checking to either check call or check raise against various bet sizes, I think is reasonable when it looks so much like I have, queen X.
Fedor considering whether to jam or raise small.
Him raising is kind of annoying here.
Jam.
Probably
just balancing his timing tells
trying to
as well.
think.
Yeah. Super tough
So
spot for Timex.
Break it down for us, Mikey.
my value range definitely, like, I'm not that high up in my value range. I kind of have one of the weaker flushes. Like the top hands for calling off on the river, I think would be, I think I'd rather call queen high flushes before ace high flushes, because I think he's repping queens full more often than he's repping the nut flush. Like I think if I had a queen high flush, I'd always be calling. I don't think there's anything I've really done with my sizing that really, you know, puts me into certain parts of my range more than others. I know Fedor can overbluff a lot of spots, which makes me think that, you know, even though I'm not that high in my range, I maybe should be calling this one off. I don't know. I think I'm fine to just call my nut and queen high flushes, fold my king queens and jack and 10 high flushes. Kind of sucks. Never have twos or threes. I don't know. It's also game flow wise. Like game flow wise, I've been winning like some pots off Fedor in these matches, and also he probably has other stuff going on, you know, with his with Scoop and whatnot. That I think that, you know, I think he'd be bluffing me here more often than normal.
Mike, so close to finding the fold. Now, second guessing himself.
Flop with threes feels pretty weird. Checking flop with queens or kings seems completely standard. Yeah, I guess checking the flop with some, like the types of hands you'd want to bluff likely have the ace or queen of clubs in them, I think. It just feels weird. I don't know, I'm just gonna fold this.
Mike McDonald gets away from a flush on the river.
Stupid in 10 minutes.
Such a sicko. Such a top poker talent. Fedor Holtz versus Mike McDonald. For hardcore poker fans out there, like me, so excited to see these two battling. And such a treat to hear Mike break down his thought process as well.
Are you learning, Samuel Grafton?
I mean...
Maybe I'm going to fold this one. I'm in a pretty shitty spot stack size-wise.
Mate, I would have said exactly. I don't want to make Mike look bad by instantly summarizing. I would have just said exactly, call with your nut flushes and your queen high flushes. This is a fold. I was going to say that, but I didn't want to trample on Mike's, slow mind. It's going to take him a long time to get there. It's just going to make him look bad if I instantly...
Yeah, I mean, he's like the banks, Things take time.
Yeah.
Bank of Timex.
Mike McDonald, obviously one of the elite players and giving us insight into why he's won so much money in the game. Again, you know, so used to this kind of top-level competition, not overawed by Fedor's reputation, even though he identified Fedor perhaps overbluffs certain spots. Not, you know, doesn't lean towards a call just because he's capped and can't have kings full and queens full in that spot. You know, when we bandy around the term blockers there, he was talking about having a queen and a little bit of inexperience from Scott Ball opening the queen 7 here. I think with the stack sizes as they are, he's going to get 3-bet one hell of a lot in that spot.
That's just definitely a leak there. You're raising against the chip leaders Fedor holds.
Yeah, I think you're going to have a limping strategy, and you know, a hand like queen 7, you could perhaps even think about folding. Definitely not worth coming in for a raise.
Yeah.
You know, when you get flatted, it's not a hand that plays particularly well either. But been a feature of Scott Ball's performances on the GPL. No fear, this guy.
Fearless wrecking ball. I mean, he really did come into the league like a wrecking ball. Like, none of us were sure about this guy.
You're really going to push this wrecking ball thing, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he just came in.
Get used to it, guys, because we are going to use this phrase a lot. When me and Griffin get something in our minds, we don't shut up about it for a moment.
Not at all. The balls are out. Free balling.
The ball is in your court.
Hashtag free ball.
The beach ball is bouncing.
Golden Bay.
And Phil Galfond. Come on, Phil. I've hyped you up. And if Phil doesn't deliver some points, and Mike McDonald all in with the strong blockers, Phil Galfond zigging when he should be zagging when he should be zigging, not got the motor started in the GPL as of yet. Look at Fedor holds 61k in chips. Only one other player above starting stack. And I touched on it earlier, but what a fearsome 1 and 2 for the LA Sunset.
Yeah.
Holt and Bousquet have been
Phenomenal.
outstanding. Yeah. Running out of superlatives to describe this young phenom. Mojave with the pocket fives.
What would you lean towards here? Flat, fold,
Well,
or 3-bet
we
call?
did see in an earlier match, Timex 3-bet call 5s here, button versus actually hijack. I think that you can 3-bet here. I think that like flatting isn't going to be super profitable, particularly. I mean, Fedor actually has a really weak holding, but letting Fedor into the pot is a big downside as well. And Felipe does get a very favorable flop for the pocket fives. Just the one overcut.
He has suited hands and traps a lot of the time. I don't think he has a ton of, ace jack off or, pocket sevens or something like that. I guess there's a few pairs, like probably something like 7s through 5s.
I don't think Mike will be open very
runs,
wide
but I think he'll have a lot of
at this
suited
spot.
cards.
But gotta take this flop as a good flop for my hand. Stick it in, see a turn, which is ace, king, spades, worst turn cards that you could see.
Felipe correctly identifying what a bad turn card this is. Mike has spiked the king. Although Mike, not loving it, identified that he expected Felipe to have a lot of suited hands.
Yeah, he checks.
Check it, Felipe. Come on, bruv.
I'm gonna be turning my hand into a bluff here because I think he's not going anywhere. Queens or jacks. So let's check and see a river, which is I call the both worst cards ever. Ace and the king of spades. They both hit the board. So yeah, this is bad.
Super unfavorable run out for Felipe. But this is, as I said, one of the problems with flatting a hand like fives. So
I see
hard
Mike
to
checking
protect
here the
your
turn
equity when
a lot with something like
Mike's
Gonna
uncapped.
try to go for value with aces or anything. Also the flushes I think he's likely to slow play the turn with are likely the nut flushes, which are now impossible. And it's tough for him to have a one spade hand. Okay.
call on the flop. Just got unlucky.
Kind of weird hand there
This
to want to
turn.
check call turn with top pair and then check call a river when there's four flush with second pair. It's kind of interesting hand.
Mike McDonald continues to open, getting these blocker type hands, king queen off, and picking up some chips to pad his stack after that unfortunate river bink for Fedor, where Fedor hit a full house against his flush. And Phil Galfond with 2 aces in the small blind. Little bit unfortunate for Phil because he's not going to be shoving super wide off this stack size. It's going to look very, very strong if he shoves. It's going to look very, very strong if he 3-bets. And
will Vamos Ramos be able to figure out that it's
Phil
a trap?
Galfond with the Admiral Akbars
It's a trap.
with a very small 3-bet. Not sure he would do this against someone like Fedor or Mike, although I don't know that much about Phil's Hold'em game. Perhaps he
It's a good
does
spot for
have
Phil.
a 3-bet range off this stack size, but
And
maybe
if
targeting
he's bluffing most of the time, he's gonna
Felipe because he's a little less
scrolling with
experienced.
somewhere around 20 bigs. And it gives me a good pricing overall to see this flop and playing position. But yeah, it feels pretty strong.
Yeah, Felipe getting a great price on appeal,
Take it down, sir.
and he gets away from the 8s. As I said, difficult spot for Phil where the 3-bet looks so strong, and Felipe, attuned to that, folds the pocket 8s. Very, very impressive
Savvy play from
Fro-
the professional,
from the Sao Paulo Met.
from the Brazilian.
I mean, it's probably a better spot to actually take with a blocker, because Felipe probably slightly overfolds certain spots. Galfond at least picks up a few chips. And with the Las Vegas Moneymakers winning the last match, Scott Ball winning for Las Vegas Moneymakers, San Francisco Rush could be cut adrift somewhat at the bottom of the table unless Phil registers some points here. Fedor Holtz does elect to see a flop with 7-6. An interesting flop. And Phil Galfond checking back
Savvy.
because there's so little 9x in his opening range, and gets a great turn card for his actual hands. And Fedor Holtz, also with a flush draw and a straight draw to go with it, does fire for an overbet. Phil Galfond facing a big turn bet.
Not sure if I'm crazy about this. What do you think, Sam?
Yeah, I like this from Fedor with a gut shot, with a flush draw. This is going to be one of his strongest bluffs. I mean, Phil, he's attacking a capped range. Phil has no 9x and very few flushes. Although he might be inclined to check back King, Queen of Hearts. So I think attacking is going to be good. I mean, imagine Phil had 2 kings, it's like really, really hard to proceed. I wonder if
Yeah,
Fedor...
but there's much more
and
ace
Fedor-
X combos than kings, queens, jacks.
Sure, for sure.
And all of the c-bet except a kings, basically, you're saying.
And one of the gut shots did get there, and Phil Galfond in a tough spot. Yeah, I mean, I know what you're saying, but like, Fedor does have...
Now this is a situation where
More
he has one of his only bluffs,
Yeah.
7-6.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be saying this, but like as long as I know Fedor is not watching the stream, probably gonna watch later. But like for the fans at home, there's no actually river that Fedor doesn't go for like a polarized size bet.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Every single river.
that's
So,
possible, but I mean, it really helps that
playing a pot against this guy.
one of the gutters did get
Expect
that.
what's about to come on the river. That's for sure. And that's what you guys need to think whenever you're playing a handout.
And I think that with a
Online poker,
heart in
as
his
you
hands,
guys are playing Scoop
Galfond
today.
may have to make the call here. Really, really don't know what... I mean, he has to call at a pretty high frequency on this river. And Ace-10 of hearts probably better than Ace-Queen of diamonds. Ace-10 with a heart better than Ace-Queen of diamonds in this spot. Phil maybe has 2 combos of 9-10 suited. If he probably doesn't check those back at 100% frequency. Really, really hard to know. Pretty sure that Galfond has to call here. Obviously, so much easier to say when we can see the hands. As Griff pointed out, not like his frequency is going to be so outrageous here. I really don't know. And Phil Galfond makes a fold. Fedor Holtz getting the job done.
Wow.
Forcing Galfond off 2 pair. And
Like a boss.
yeah, like a massive boss. And, Fedor Holtz will pull the trigger. And I think that, I'm not saying Tyler Kenny made a good call with the 8s. Probably was a mistake. But we see now that Fedor Holtz is, if you didn't realize it already, we see now that Fedor Holtz is someone who is unafraid to go for it. He's unafraid to pull the trigger when he is the person, with the stronger range, or in this instance, the person with a higher number of nut combos.
Absolutely.
And Galfond defends the King 8 against Scott Ball. Phil Galfond, double bracelet winner. Run it once, elite coach. One of the most respected players in the game. And Scott Ball bets for some protection with his King Queen high, having turned the flush draw. And Galfond releases King 8 high. And it's now Phil Galfond who is short down to just 10 big blinds. And Scott Ball showing that he is making adjustments to this elite level of poker, folding the ace-4 spot there where Fedor could put immense pressure on him with Galfond being short. Fedor jams all in on the button with the King 10 of diamonds. And we saw a masterclass from Tony Gregg a couple of weeks ago in this format of wielding the big stack. Fedor Holtz going to look to follow in his footsteps. So we are 5-handed in the last 6-max match of the day. The Montreal Nationals guaranteed to finish at least joint top after Mike McDonald posted a second-place finish in the first match of the day. Scott Ball took that down for 7 points for the Las Vegas Moneymakers. And Fedor Holtz a step too far
Admiral
here in terms of the
Akbar's.
ICM pressure. Mike McDonald would have been forced to
Oh,
fold
you
a
told
lot
me,
of
Mr.
hands,
Fedor.
It's a trap.
but it was a trap.
Retreat.
And no favorable turn card, just 8 high for Fedor. The aces hold, and Mike McDonald doubles up to the chip lead. Fedor with his foot right to the metal in this match, and
Nice double up.
I wonder if he shoves the 5 high. He does.
I think it's a good shove by Fedor. I have a pretty thin induce range, and a lot of my
Things
his hand
changing here
isn't
for
blocked by
Fedor.
any raise folds or anything like that.
Does churn
So
one of
you
his
know,
only
the
outs.
equity of 8-6 suited does not that might do better than ace 10 off or something like that. Or that's a bit of an exaggeration, but it probably does better than 8-6 suited versus 10-9 suited are very similar there, whereas in a lot of spots they might not be. And then 10-9 suited, defending it will do better post flop.
And Fedor Holtz, obviously his aggressive style works well for him. We saw Tony Gregg just run over the table the other week, playing a very, very fast and loose style with the chip lead. But if you do run into a few hands, it can change your chip position very, very quickly. Fedor doubling up Mike McDonald and Phil Galfond in quick succession. And now it's Mike McDonald who has the chip lead, and Phil Galfond, from being the short stack, only a couple of chips less than Fedor. Bad news, that double up for Felipe Mojave Ramos and Scott Ball, who are now our short stacks. And I wonder, it could have been possible for Mike to put the pressure back on Fedor here, but I guess the offsuit Queen 9 does fine.
That's here. I think I'm just going to fold rather than discuss it and then end up folding. If no eliminations happen, I'll be the first one to time out. So I think until there's an elimination, I'm going to try to play fairly quickly.
It's gonna do this with a lot of equity hands. Nowhere I could go with this in the hand.
And Felipe Mojave
Yeah, Fedor
Ramos,
is playing way over aggressive. This is a good spot for me with fours most of the time.
yeah, correct
By
assessment
the
from
way, he's
Felipe.
playing,
That Fedor is playing a very loose strategy.
and I need some submarine brief as well. So let's 3-bet all in this pocket first.
And a snap fold
Good
from
enough, good
Fedor.
enough.
Happy to get that shove through is Vamos Ramos, representing Brazil. Scotty Ball, been a little quiet. The string on the wrecking
It's
ball
the same spot with
cut
the
off
Queen Jack hand,
for the game, pardon me.
where it could be min raising, and I'll have to fold a lot. See, Scott here has over like 10 bigs, little over like 10 bigs. I'm just gonna shove this in from the bottom.
Felipe taking the plus chippy V shove spot. You can see one of the advantages of
let's
just
go.
jamming there is Fedor not given the opportunity to rejam a hand like ace-2 suited and get you to fold the queen-jack by shoving all in. There are parts of Fedor's range that he will either defend or jam on you that he's forced to fold. And suddenly this match very much in the balance. Mike McDonald, who has already got a first and a second in the 6-max format, a strong favourite, but chip stacks evening out somewhat. Scott Ball, our short stack.
Lot of pretty hands here.
Yeah, Scott Ball with the ace-jack of hearts. Going to be a pretty automatic shove, you would imagine. Such a strong holding on the cutoff.
Look at that. King 5 of spades, ace jack of hearts, queen jack of spades, jack 8 of diamonds, king queen of clubs.
Mike McDonald with the decision. Snap calls the king queen and flops very strongly. Are some favorable turn cards. Also some turn cards where he's drawing dead. That is not as good as it looks because he needs an 8 and an 8 only, but it bricks off.
Scotty doesn't know that he's out in 5th. Sure he does. He knows nothing.
And Scott Ball only able to add 1 point to his impressive win in the last match. 8 points for the Las Vegas Moneymakers. Great stuff, as always, from Scott Ball.
Yeah, that first win, I mean, an average of 8 points over 2 matches. Excellent work for the Moneymakers. And Scott Ball should be happy. Jake Cody was able to spend some time with his family.
Yeah. Jake Cody on the bench.
Do you think that when Jake Cody got the call, do you think he went directly to the showers, or do you think he picked everything up on the way home? Like, do you think was it cold water, hot water? You know Jake really well. When he got showered by Christopher Moneymaker, the Moneymaker effect, the boom man, for Scotty Brecken Ball,
the Boomtown.
How soon do you think he showered?
I'm very
he showered.
Little things.
Ace queen would have been probably one of the weaker hands I induced there. I'm just so likely to take down the pot, just going all in that I need to induce ton of action. I'll just go all in here.
And
no one's really that excited to call me.
And Mike McDonald with a little bit of a masterclass. As I said, this kind of situation is something he absolutely specializes in. Done a bunch of off-the-table work, looking at the maths of these kind of shove spots. It's incredible when you do run the numbers.
You should have better hand, I think.
How tight these guys have to call. Ace and a 10. 2 strong blockers to that calling range.
Guys, for the latest information about the Global Poker League, please visit our site, globalpokerleague.com. We have a great survey.
What's it called?
Global, it's GLOBAL, pokerleague.com. Please check it out, guys. We need your feedback. We need you. We need you to tell us, what do we need to improve? What do you like?
Yeah.
What's next? And the more information you give us, the better our product's going to be. And there's a survey. Fill it out.
Yeah.
Let us know what you think.
Tell us what you think of Laura Cornelius.
In particular.
Yeah. Do you think she's up to it? Would you like...
Would you like a bite of the corn dog?
No, Griff, come on.
I mean,
come on, Griff, calm down. It's not what we're talking about. I'm just saying how much.
If I was the corn dog, what's the big deal? Why are you making it a gender thing?
Do you love the entity or not? Would you like more?
Would you like a nibble of the entity?
And Mike McDonald here, flopping best, toppest of pairs.
Feels very weird because I know Mike's gonna shove any equity from the small blind. So whenever he leads in, of course, he's polarizing his range.
Yeah, unfortunate spot for Felipe.
Something like, of course, I'm ahead, but like most of the time, it's a very smart player and try to pull up a trap.
I don't like the check back there by Felipe. I understand what he's saying, that when that sometimes he's getting trapped, but like you have a king and a 10 blocker, shove the money in, pal. Yeah. You don't want to let him outflop you with the 9-6 off. But I completely understand where he's coming from. I think that That's what makes poker so interesting, is that there's so many little factors that can convince you that you're making a mistake because you've seen something happen to you before. And right there, I think that was a big mistake. Again, it's like, the way that McDonald analyzed it with this amount of chips, this and that he loses there, but a spot where he needs to shove the king 10 suited in, take it down pre, and when he is getting trapped, suck out on ace jack or ace queen or whatever, and ends up being Mike's traps. It's not like the guy's got 2 kings, pal. You got one of them. There's only 4 in the deck. Get out of my office, Felipe. I've been on your side all bloody night with the Vamos Ramos stuff, and you check back king 10 suited with 12 blinds. I'm done.
A little bit of a sugar rush. Little note to production. Can we cut off the orange squash to the commentary booth? Griffin.
I love him too much to not let him know. You can't check back the king 10 suited.
Griffin, the banger banger.
Not getting any real hints here. No. Last time I saw an ace was
the other side of the argument is you flop
summer.
the best 10s and kings almost always.
Long winter.
It is a good flopping hand. So I get it, but he didn't use that justification. He was worried about a trap.
And Fedor Holtz with a playable jack 8 suited. We'll see how in line he's going to be with the towering presence, covering presence
That's
of
one
Mike
off
McDonald.
of snap call user all night.
All in from Mike McDonald.
Snap call. Let's win this. Oh, action flop.
Queen or a 7 required for Mike McDonald. That's a good card
Oh,
for
nice. The
Felipe.
club big favorite now. Yep. Let's go.
The double up for Mojave, who becomes second biggest stack at the table, and with a very solid game, going to be hard to get those chips off him.
Math question, and just give it to me straight. What do you think? Do you think it is more plus CV or chip ICM to call a 10 big blind shove with ace 6 blind on blind four-handed, or to shove against the Mike McDonald limp?
Yeah, it's probably more a plus EV to shove,
Yeah. Just, that's all I'm saying. I'm learning. I don't know anything about this stuff. I'm just seeing it.
Hashtag mathematics.
Hashtag science. Hashtag
And Mike McDonald putting the table. I love this. If you ever do this in a live comp, it's the best fun ever.
Now I definitely want to be going all in a lot less than before, I think, where, I don't have the same chip lead that I did, and losing a 70k pot hurts me a lot more.
Everyone at the table, you're all in. And I wonder if Phil shoves here, folds the 8-5 suited.
Where, every spot I imagine he's shoving between 40 to 60% of hands. He's giving me like 4 straight walks or something.
And king on the button for Phil Galfon, all in, and will take it down. Phil Galfon now the shortest stack at the table. All these players guaranteed 2 points, 3 points for third, 5 points for second, 7 points for the win. These guys representing both themselves and their franchises. Not money up for grabs, points for their team. Montreal Nationals currently top of the table.
Not a great spot to get shoved on, and I can definitely get better hands to fold. My equity uncalled isn't terrible, not great. Also blocks, so plenty of calling hands.
Mike McDonald dropping the knowledge, sharing the knowledge. $600 to get
Ready?
coaching from him.
3, 2, 1.
He might actually just raise it, by the way.
Nope.
And he does shove. Yeah, coaching at $800 an hour, or you can just watch him live
No,
on
it's
the
actually
GBL.
$888 an hour.
Getting called. I'd say that when shoving into multiple people, I've basically had my shoves get through 15 players or something like this.
Felipe Mojave Ramos with an ace and 15 big blinds may opt to fold here. And Phil Galfon with a suited jack, all in. And this is going to be close.
Using anyone else's blind.
I'm about breaking even on chips by calling. I'm going to fold, Given that he's folded 4 in a row, I can probably deduce it's very unlikely he's shoving too wide. And then, I definitely, don't want to take on too much variance.
Mike McDonald folding the queen.
I think I definitely have the best, the last, couple levels. I probably definitely have by far the best cards of anyone at the table.
Crazy about this king jack. Rather fold and keep on doing the shove dance. Yeah, queen 5 is pretty good enough to do this.
All
queen
in
5
from
suited.
Felipe Ramos. And
Call ace jack, live cards. Yeah.
Not the
He's
flop
got an
for
ace
Vamos
spiking
Ramos.
over there. So 5
5 or a queen.
cards. And ace. GG.
If we lose Felipe in 4th spot, the tight strategy of Phil Galfond paying off as he ladders up a notch for a further point for the rush. And
Does Mike McDonald go all in here? Probably raise and then 3-bet. No, he just shoves. Love it.
Power of the pair, mate.
Hashtag YOLO.
These guys not willing to allow their opponents, not wanting to allow Fedor any chance of putting him to the test. And Phil Galfond with 10 big blinds, just trying to find a spot to get the money in. And Fedor Holtz, a very much deserved double up, played exceptionally well in the early going here. And going to be loving shoving the King 10 on Galfond. And Galfond, this King 10 suit is going to look absolutely massive with the 8 big blinds. I mean, just to remind you guys, you know, not my, and let's just talk about this for a moment. Ace Queen against Ace Queen.
But it was suited.
Phil Galfond all in. Mike McDonald with a pretty fist pumpy call here. Phil going to be shoving a lot of hands. Well, a whole host of hands Mike McDonald crushes here. But unless some diamonds come, 1 diamond. I'd love to see a little sweat on the turn for Mr. Galfond.
Diamonds are forever.
But it doesn't come.
Ducks
Just to remind you
fly
guys, these
together.
are pretty remarkable poker players we're seeing 3-handed action here. You couldn't
Yeah,
get
really, actually.
3 players
Oh, yeah.
more respected. Here he is, the swaggy house of Philip Galfond. Guaranteed he did not pick out that painting. His lovely wife did.
I don't really know what I'm supposed to do here. I don't hate just folding.
It's going to be a call.
I think that both of them probably expect me to be shoving lots. And it's a little bit daunting if I make this, you know, small raise where I'm kind of repping, you know, ultra strong hands. I think I could get some more folds out of
Well, I
Phil,
can't fold.
but I'm not sure about that. And my hand's not weak
I
by
can
any
call or
means.
I can just shove. I think he does have a slight chip edge, so he might be raised folding some hands here. But make a maybe strange play and just call. See if I can flop something like that.
Massive flop for Phil Galfond.
So I think that, I mean, given that I'm sticking with my read that he's probably playing relatively tight pre-flop, I doubt he has a 4 or 2 in his hand that much. So the showdown value of my hand isn't that important. I don't know about this.
Sizes as they are, I don't think he thinks I'm gonna bluff, like with a very small raise. The pot is big enough compared to my stack that I think I'm probably just best off shoving, not giving him potential, you know, between 3 and 6 outs, but also he can just call me right now with a hand like 5s that potentially could find a fold later.
Oh dear, Mike McDonald. How you like them apples? Oh no, Mike. So much
Going
easier
over
for
2
Mike
to 1.
McDonald if he has no pair here.
Yeah.
I mean, I really thought basically, I'm just gonna stick with, my opinion that I'd be able to get him to defend the big blind relatively tight. Maybe I'm wrong about this, but I'm just gonna hope that he's folding some, 10-5 of clubs and stuff like that to my raise. I don't think he's ever folding Queen 9 off or something, and just hope that there's more Queen X hands than club hands, and even the club hands I'm just chopping with. So I'm just gonna bet fold this. So
Mike McDonald getting away from pair over pair off of very, very short stacks. Mike McDonald
Should have even potentially folded a pair there.
Yeah, a masterclass, as we've come to expect.
Now he's sort of the dominant position chip-wise.
If it's not, I'm doing it anyways.
Phil Galfond battling hard for his team.
Both of these guys definitely more experienced in this format than I am with short stacks, but this used to be my specialty about 11 years ago. So just trying to remember what I can.
I don't really want to have to raise and deuce into Fedor, so I'm just going to go on with this.
And if Fedor folds the button, it's going to be an interesting spot because Phil Galfond with ace-8
I just think it makes sense.
jams.
This is annoying. Galfond's getting enough chips that ICM becomes a somewhat relevant factor. I think I'm just going to fold this.
No, sick.
This might be too big of a fold.
I mean,
Can
he see the cards? Have we checked? Can he see the
Yeah, I can
cards?
fold. They'd probably call me a
Can we,
flop or
can
something
someone,
like that.
can we check, producer, can we check, can Mike McDonald, does he know what they have? So sick. Folding the ace deuce when absolutely dominated.
So had the blinds not gone up, I could consider, not shoving this and doing something else. But since they did, pretty easy shove.
Phil Galfond not out of this.
Galfond is chipping up huge.
Phil Galfond, big Tyler Kenny fan. Learned a lot from
Blind battles can
TK
makes
strategies.
it easier for him to get free chips.
What's that hand that Phil has?
The Admiral Akbars.
It's a trap!
Lines up and having effectively the same number of chips as Fedor, I'm going to be shoving pretty wide from the small.
I don't know. I think that I'm deep enough that it's okay to min raise here. But to be honest, like you guys saw earlier with my other aces hand, I'm not sure that I do it with enough other hands. Just given the way that I've been shoving every single hand, I think that was pretty suspicious looking. And if I had been like 2 big lines shorter, I would not have done it. I think this is a call. Quite sure it's a call.
Great flop for me.
With the backdoor flush draw, I could float here, but pretty big range disadvantage on this board. No need to mess around.
But I think I played some hands similar to that recently against Ivan Luca, where I feel like he correctly identified a spot where I just never have an ace unless I have a set of aces, and then he just kind of caged me post-flop in a spot where I think a lot of people would be like, oh, the pre-flop aggressor has an ace so often, but I would have been shoving all my ace-x hands.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting, yeah?
Yeah, that's pretty boss.
Ivan Luca, by the way, someone that posts results like poker's about to come to an end. It's like
Yeah,
as if it's
gotta get
close,
the money and
as
get
if
outta
they're
here.
shutting up shop in 6 months. And Mike McDonald all in, and you see Fedor forced to fold
Three-handed's
the ace six.
interesting, ICM-wise, like the payout structure of these things, I think overvalues like second and fourth a little bit. So this is one of the bigger bubbles
Take
in
note,
the
Max
in the
Rabinovich.
tournament.
And this is a spot with potential. Phil Galfond with a very profitable shove with the suited king.
Shove.
And Mike McDonald is going to call with the ace king
And a standard call by him.
and flop
And that'll
dead.
be it. Good seeing you guys for a minute.
A 10 would chop it. And king is a full house for Mike McDonald.
hit a pair.
GG, Phil Galfond out in third. For 3 points. And heads up between Mike McDonald and Fedor Holtz. Mike McDonald already posted a second today. Montreal Nationals will be top of the table because of his performance and looking to close things out.
I think that basically with almost every hand, I'm deciding whether or not to raise or limp when V-pipping. And I think with a lot of the stronger hands that I'm raising, I would take a few seconds before raising. So I think this is, definitely right from the get-go. I think I have a bit of a timing tell with this open.
McDonald checking back, third pair. Gonna feel a lot more comfortable about it with the 4 pairing. And it does seem that Fedor is thinking about going on the attack. No, checks it over to Mike, understandably so. Gonna have lots of gut shots, 5-6s, 5-7s, and the like, that he's
Here I
gonna
can
wanna
just-
bet.
I'm just betting for protection. I would be betting this turn quite a bit, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him check raise bluff occasionally.
Fedor Holtz with something in the region of 18 big blinds,
Bottom.
17 big blinds. Out chip 2-1. And Mike McDonald with one of his junkier holdings looking to pick the pot up here and now. This might be a little bit wide for a man of my tastes, but as I've said before, Mike McDonald knows these spots way, way better than I do.
Fuck, he must have had such a bad hand there. It's unfortunate. I think Fedor's a looser with blind defense than me. Like, I would have guessed he's defending like 90 or something, and I'd rather get. So, Not sure. I'm just gonna go all in with this. Maybe this is too deep to be shoving many hands.
And Fedor Holtz with King Jack is going to have a decision here.
He's probably gonna
Probably
call
have the
this.
best hand.
And Mike
Good
flops a
flop.
4 and a backdoor flush draw. King or Jack required if Fedor is to survive. Otherwise, Mike McDonald will seal it.
Good game, Fedor. I
Rivers
ran really good this week.
and ace.
Won every all-in pretty much.
7 points for the Montreal Nationals.
Mr. McDonald taking it down, clipping Fedor Holtz at the end there. Great stuff in both of these matches. I mean, you and I were kind of talking off camera a little bit about how some of these folds that were being made, some of these plays, these bluffs, unbelievable. Fedor Holtz, the 7-6, getting your boy Phil Galfond to fold that ace-10. We talked a bit about the fold that Mike McDonald made with the Jack-9 suited, flush on the river, bet folding, a Jack-high flush against a cutoff open.
Such strong poker.
Yeah.
I mean, bitter,
the range breakdowns.
bitter old men like
Yeah.
me like to moan about these kids, like to moan about Mike McDonald and his run good.
Yeah.
Fedor Holtz, how does he do it? You can see the way these guys separate themselves
So you're starting to get
from
it,
the pack.
not just running good.
The breakdown of their thought process, such intricacies to the way they make their decisions, the way they construct their ranges, the way they analyze their opponents' tendencies. I mean, we're just learning so much here at the GPL about what makes these players cut above the rest.
Yeah, absolutely. We're gonna have an interview with Mike pretty soon. Obviously, that was a great match. We want to hear from him. Anything else stood out to you in this match? Obviously, I was giving Vamos Ramos a hard time for the king to tenfold. So I'm sure there's other things we can talk about.
No, I mean, 12 points for the Montreal Nationals is absolutely massive. Mike McDonald, as I said, I really felt like he's going to be a specialist in this format. Phil Galfond, great poker player, is just not going to have done as much work on the push fold situation, how to exploit a chip advantage, how ICM factors in to your calling ranges and your shoving ranges. Mike McDonald really one of the top performers in the Six Max format. Fedor Holtz, again, with a great performance. I mean, these guys, you can see why they went first round draft pick. Guys who are going to put points on the board for your franchise. And Montreal Nationals, again, looking very, very strong in what I think is an incredibly tough America's Conference. But I think we're going to go over to the lounge. We've got Laura Cornelius. She's going to be chatting to the great man, Mike McDonald.
Thanks, boys. Congratulations to Mike McDonald and the Montreal Nationals, who are now in first place in the Americas Conference. 7 points to them for that one, and 5 points as well for the first match, because he got a second and a first place. Still, no one is quite able to do that sweep in the Six Max yet. I believe Mike McDonald is there. Congratulations, Mike. You've had a great run this evening. And what a sick last three players, you, Fedor, and Phil Galfond. What's your experience been like before of playing these two guys?
Thanks, Laura. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. So Phil, I haven't played with as much the last few years when he plays mostly PLO. He's probably maybe my number one idol in poker when I was a teenager, where it seemed like he was just one of the kind of the godfathers of the online generation who just did everything right, didn't have a lot of the life leaks that a lot of the other nosebleed crushers used to have. And I think that he's just someone I've always really looked up to, so it's fun getting to play three-handed with him. And then Fedor, Phil's kind of a generation before me. Fedor is kind of a version of that, of the generation behind me, where he's an up-and-coming young player, one of the best in the game right now. And it's fun to play three-handed with those two guys.
You made some absolutely amazing folds in that second game. Well, 3 really good ones. How do you know? Tell us. How do you know to do this?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think that basically, like, I'm lucky that these folds have been right. Like there was one big fold I made to Felipe Ramos last time, where he was actually, I folded 2 pair and he was value betting a worse 2 pair. And so, you can't be right all the time. I think I was kind of lucky in the sense that I had hands that weren't so strong. So I guess going so there was the hand where I folded a flush. I was just, even though it's a flush, it's not one of the stronger flushes I have, and it doesn't block that many hands. So that one was kind of easy. The one against the Ace King against Scott Ball, I think that was just kind of a hand where sort of his inexperience was showing, and most people don't play that hand that way. And I think it was kind of, sort of, he made the fold for me rather than me making a really good fold, I guess. Which is the other one?
I think it was Ace 7 against, and you had Ace 2 and he had Ace 7. I think it was pre-flop.
I mean, so the Ace 2, Ace 7.
You maybe didn't see that yet.
Okay, I didn't. Yeah, I turned off the stream for a second. So that's not a. That's sort of a different type of fold where I'm just playing cautious in that spot due to just the payout structure. If he had King 2 off there or something like that, he probably would have shoved, and the commentators would be saying, "Oh, Mike, like, why are you so bad?" kind of. But it was just I know he's got a relatively wide range, and in spite of the fact that I know ace-2 off is winning against his range, in a three-handed tournament where the pay jump to second is as important as the pay jump to first, I think I just need to tighten up a little bit. So it wasn't, it wasn't a timing tell or a read or anything. I thought I was ahead of him, but I mean, I guess I was lucky that I was behind and get to look smart as a result of that.
And are you watching the replay like 10 minutes later, or are you waiting to watch the whole thing at a later time?
Yeah, I'm sure people can see. I'm sure people can see my head turning over all the time, and that's just I'm just sitting on my couch. Normally when I'm sitting on my couch, I'm facing in one direction, watching the TV. But there's so many just like windows in my condo and stuff that basically there's glare if I sit in most directions. So I'm sitting kind of perpendicular to the TV and just looking over to try to follow most of the hands. So I see most of them, but miss a few. Like
do you make notes on what's happening?
Just mental notes. I think that if likely by second, third season of the GPL, when the prizes are more substantial and stuff like that, I'll put more hours away from the table into studying it. But as it is, most of my notes are just kind of remember the hands I've seen, watch the games I'm not playing in, and then just kind of just sort of remember what's going on. I think I'm a fairly sort of visual learner in that regard, that seeing these hands, I kind of build my profile on my opponent, and I don't need to actually physically take down notes to remember some of the hands people have played in previous weeks.
You're Mike McDonald. I think your mental notes are probably better than most people's written notes anyway.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Tell us how Scoop is going. You're playing?
Yeah, Scoop's been going. I would guess so far this Scoop I've probably got about a median type result. Like I think I have one final table. I'm down maybe 30K or something like that. Yeah, so it's I've had some deep runs and stuff. Nothing too exciting, but that's kind of how it's gone so far.
Okay, well, congratulations once again. You've picked up 12 points this evening, which is pretty good for the week, I would say, and it means that Montreal Nationals are now top of the conference.
Thanks, I appreciate it, Laura.
All right.
Good talking to you.
See you later. Good luck in Scoop.
Bye.
Mike McDonald there, picking up 12 points this evening for the Montreal Nationals. Let's head back over to the desk to Griffin and Sam and look over some key hands. There were some really good ones there.
Yes, unfortunately, producer Luis making us choose, and this time we got two, but there was like 6 or 7 that we wanted to use. It was a tough couple minutes back there in the production office.
Whew.
We made it out alive. We got a Scott Ball hand, we got a Mike McDonald hand. I'm excited. Are you thrilled?
I'm excited.
Let's do it.
So,
Scotty Ball.
taking you back in time a little bit, Scott Ball, the victor in the first match in the Americas Conference today. The hood game of Scott Ball coming in for a raise with the ace-4 clubs, pretty standard. And Felipe Mojave Ramos identifying he's far enough ahead of Scott Ball's range to 3-bet the ace-queen for value. In general, 3-bets out of the big blind are pretty strong, certainly pretty polarized. You get such a good price on a call that there's no need to bluff too much from the spot. A lot of hands, you can just flick in the 700, flick in the extra big blind, and take a flop. But he does 3-bet, perhaps picking a little bit of a too small a sizing. When you're polarized and you're going to have hands like 4-deuce suited, 5-3 suited, or very strong hands, you can, in general, pick a bigger sizing. Allows Scott a good price to outflop him. And I think pretty big sizing mistake from Scott Ball. No need to blast it for 5K. I think if Scott Ball doesn't have a pair, he's going to fold for a lot smaller sizing than that. You just strengthen your opponent's range. You also set up a pretty awkward SPR, stack to pot ratio, where there's not much maneuverability down the streets. Let's imagine that he had flopped Felipe a 5 with ace-5, or he had flopped, or he did have aces. He probably wouldn't want to bet that size. Anyway, on the river, very unfortunate card for Felipe. He rivers top pair, could shove and try and get heroed, but I think quite correctly decides to check it over to Scott Ball. I mean, presumably recognizing the fact that Scott Ball can have some 2 pairs on this river. Ace-8 suited, there's 3 combos. Ace-5 suited, 2 combos. Ace-4 suited, 2 combos. So, he does have some hands here. The question is, what bluffs would Scott Ball have to enter this river? Is he going to turn 6s, 7s, pocket 9s, 8-9 suited into a bluff. I think one of the key things was we identified a bit of a timing tell with Scott Ball. He immediately rifled it in, and I think it's going to take him a little bit longer to turn a made hand into a bluff. Really unfortunate situation for Felipe. I guess Felipe also ran through what what better hands than this does he check on the river? Does he check a set of kings on the river? No. Does he check ace king on the river? Probably not. So Felipe was probably also concerned with his checking range, feeling like this was too strong and he had to check call. And this was the spot. Felipe will make the call in a moment. This is a spot that really set Scott Ball up for the victory.
Yeah, great work from Scotty there. But yeah, again, Felipe Ramos, obviously not his best hand that he's played here at the Global Poker League, but has impressed us in previous weeks.
Of course.
Great representative for the São Paulo Mets, for all of Brazil. Such a character
and also,
too. And
I think Scott Ball developing as a poker player. We saw him a couple of weeks back build a big chip lead, got three-handed with a chip advantage, and kind of spewed off the chips, playing a little bit over aggressive in certain spots, like not really controlling size of pots with medium strength hands and such like. Here, he really capitalized on his chip advantage.
Yeah.
Played really, really excellently throughout. And, we should really give him such credit for delivering in terms of points for the Las Vegas Moneymakers and what was an unbelievably tough lineup. I mean, I would be so intimidated to take a seat at that table myself. And, Scott Ball, a mere amateur, showing that, still, even with the level poker's advanced to, it is possible for amateurs to overcome the top pros in the game.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different angles, too. We talked about before the Tyler Kenny, Felipe Ramos sort of battle in all those six max matches, and then you see variance kind of rear its ugly head and be like, well, wait a minute, now these are like cream of the crop against them, and the cream isn't running very badly, and now you see different stars emerge, and that's what's so great about the GPL. I mean, Phil Galfond has not even really had a chance to arrive yet. He's played a couple of games, but, he hasn't really been able to get things going, hasn't been able to make big calls or break anything down because the spots, card distribution, just hasn't been there. So I think that's something to really consider when you're at. So let's go to the next hand here.
Okay, sure.
This is obviously Fedor Holtz against Mike McDonald. This was one of the most interesting hands that I've seen at the GPL, simply because it's just such a no-brainer to someone like Mike McDonald getting to that fold. He's explaining his thought process, but to actually get to that point where it's just like, I think is a hard and fast rule. I need to call with my queen high flushes. I need to call with my nut flushes. I need to call with my, combinations like that. Tell me about what you thought about this hand. Do you want me to just take the hand? I'll do the hand happily. No, absolutely.
So Mike McDonald, with a loosish peel, becoming a lot more standard for players to peel with a wider range of hands.
Can I have a question? How do you feel about small blind peels in general?
Yeah, of course. I mean, everyone's been massively overfolded the big blind.
Right.
People have become more cognizant of pot odds and the need to, that you can play a lot wider range, getting good pot odds. Now people are beginning to develop a more complete small blind strategy.
Well, that's my question. Do you find yourself flatting?
Pre-flop solvers are telling us that these hands are going to be profitable against late position opens, particularly when someone like Felipe Mojave Ramos probably going to overfold his big blind. So here Mike McDonald makes a flush on the turn, bets out for value, and Fedor Holtz calls with the strong bluff catcher, pocket queens with the queen of clubs. Mike's definitely going to take a stab there on the turn at a reasonably high frequency. And a queen comes off, cooler city, you would imagine. Fedor Holtz rivering a boat. Mike McDonald going to have a pretty easy value bet here. Bets 4K into 5K.
Yeah, obviously cooler city here, and we're all eating at McDonald right now. Very tough spot for him here. About to face the shove.
I didn't get that.
Like McDonald's. I don't know. Cooler city.
And
reaching.
So Mike obviously looking to get called here by check back kings, king jack, and such like. Maybe some ace queen with a club. And Fedor Holtz just balancing his timing, always going to shove, ships it in. And we were so, the exciting thing for me watching this hand was just the succinct and sharp way that Mike McDonald broke down his thought process. He identified that this wasn't a hand he needed to call the river with. Said that he would call with his queen X flush draws, hands like queen jack of clubs, queen 10 of clubs, maybe even queen 9 of clubs, ace queen of clubs if he didn't elect to 3-bet, because they block Fedor Holtz's queens. With card removal, there's only one combo remaining of pocket queens if he himself has the queen of clubs. Could call with his ace-high flush draws, of which he's got a great many, certainly ace-10 of clubs downwards, and that's going to be enough combinations that he can fold the jack-9 of clubs. Perhaps even a hand like king-queen, blocking kings and queens full, might be a better bluff catcher than the jack-9 of clubs, given that Fedor Holz is really representing pocket threes, pocket queens, or pocket kings.
Yeah, Fedor Holz really emerging as a star as well. You know, there were so many interesting hands that he played. A lot of them got lost in the shuffle because we can only feature a couple. He had that amazing bluff against your boy, Mr. Galfond.
And we should say that, obviously big calls, are spectacular and what have you. But folding is so important. You know, chips you don't lose are just important as chips gained. If Mike McDonald makes the call there, if he gets stubborn, if he thinks, well, I'm value betting King Jack or what have you, as well, elects to call because he has a flash, he is out of that match. Instead, he went on to win it and
excuse me,
and secure 7 points.
Happens, right?
For the Montreal Nationals. Absolutely massive for them, massive for the franchise. They're now top of the table. Really, really impressive stuff. And a real thrill, as Laura identified, to see those 3 legends of the game battling three-handed. So exciting.
So what you're saying is the subtext of the Book of Mormon joke is that he's so good because he folds a lot, right? That's a fair statement.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes, absolutely. Seriously.
For sure.
Same principle.
For sure.
Just because you have a big hand doesn't mean you're supposed to call if the guy's never bluffing. I mean, teach the masses. They need to know.
Of course. I mean, it's just a case of really breaking things down and not being stubborn. Fedor Holz obviously has a reputation as an aggressive and strong poker player. Mike, though, working things through and finding the right decision. Obviously, we are a little bit results orientated. Fedor probably does have bluffs in that situation, but absolutely amazing from Mike McDonald. I think we're going to go over to Laura Cornelius, who's going to summarize the day's events and tell you where we are in the standings.
See you guys tomorrow.
Well, in summary, the day was just brilliant. I really enjoyed myself, and we had some great matches as well. Mike McDonald really taking over as the man of the moment, I believe, today, although we had some great poker by all. There he is, 7 points in that second match, but don't forget he came second in the first America's Conference match as well for 5 points, meaning he had 12 points in total today. Fedor Holz with 5 points. Slow start to the season for Fedor, but really picked up his game now after that clean sweep in heads-up action for 9 points last week. Phil Galfond in third, fared a little better than his first match, in which he only scored 1 point, and we got to see inside his lovely kitchen or inside his lovely house again. Philip Mojave there with 2 points. Scott Ball, who won the first game of the Americas Conference with 6 points. He only managed to get 1 point today, finishing in 5th. And Tyler Kenny, who normally either gets first or second in the Six Max format, unfortunately not faring so good today. He got a little bit unlucky in the first few hands of the day. 0 points then for the New York Rounders, who were on top of the table coming into play today. They were clear by 1 point in first place. They are now in third place. Shocker! 84 points for the Montreal Nationals now, which means they are level pegging with the leaders of the Eurasian Conference too. The Moscow Wolverines also have 84 points, so they are really top of their game, Moscow and Montreal right now. LA Sunset, thanks to Fedor Holz, has 76 points and is in second place. Maria Ho is sure to be very, very happy about that after they've had a little bit of a slow start to the season. Bousquet obviously managing to pick up most of their points during the season. New York Rounders then down to 75 points and in third place after leading for quite some time. Tyler Kenny sure to be a little bit disappointed with how the action went, but he can't always have it his way, and him and Felipe Ramos of the Sao Paulo Mets have been getting so many first and second places already in the Six Max format. Talking of Sao Paulo Mets, 64 points. They are 9 points behind the New York Rounders, who are in third. The Las Vegas Moneymakers now in 5th place still, but creeping up. They are only 4 points behind the Mets now, thanks to Scott Ball's performance, picking up 8 points in those 2 games, including 1 win. San Francisco Rush still at the bottom of the table in 6th. There is 5 points now separating 5th and 6th place after just 1 point was separating them coming into play today. So Las Vegas are kind of making a run for it. They're trying to elevate themselves up the conference standings. We have some great matches lined up for you tomorrow. Don't forget, it's heads-up action from the Eurasian Conference on a Wednesday, and it's from the Americas Conference on a Thursday. So tomorrow, we will see for the Moscow Wolverines, Andrei Patachuk versus Wei Zhang of the Hong Kong Stars. That's match 65 at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central European Time. And the second match of the day is London Royals, Igor Kurganov versus Dario Sammartino of the Rome Emperors. That's at 11:30 Pacific, 2:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central European Time. And then the third and final match of the evening is Davide Kitai of the Paris Aviators. We haven't seen him for a while, but he was absolutely brilliant when we saw him in the first week. And he will be facing off against Sorel Mitzi of the Berlin Bears. That's at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, 11 p.m. Central European Time. We saw a little bit of Sorel Mitzi earlier, and he was great viewing on his webcam, in which he just managed to buy a computer because he messed up the timings. But we didn't mind because he just had such a great story and a great narrative playing outside in a coffee shop. So we're sure to see some great things, hopefully, from him on his webcam in that heads-up match, which is the last one on tomorrow evening. We hope that you have enjoyed the show this evening from the Six Max action that we've been showing. And don't forget to join us back here. If you've missed anything, though, you can watch it all back. Just head over to www.globalpokerleague.com for key hands, highlights, fixtures, standings, anything you need to know about your favorite team. It's all there on the website. We will see you back here tomorrow for some great action from the Eurasian Conference Heads Up.